Tasty.
The Taste of Southeast Kitchen is taking it mobile. We are out here at Bonfire Bay Tours, about to take a little boat ride over to Hump Island Oyster Company. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm always ready.
I'm hungry for oysters.
Me too. So we're gonna check out this awesome tour they've got out here. We're also gonna taste test some oysters, make a little bit of sauce of our own that you can make at home as well.
Exactly. Maybe throw some in the grill?
Exactly.
Okay.
So come along as we check all this out. Definitely feeling the motion of the ocean out here, and we've got some little baby oysters.
Baby oysters, yep. So they're 6 months old. We got them from Hawaiian Shellfish Co. So this is called a flupsy too. So this is our floating upwelder system. Basically, we have 8 bins in each of these flotation devices that hold our oysters, and has a huge underwater pump that rolls water right through into each bin. That way, they're always getting fed fresh nutrients for them to be able to grow.
So you guys have to bring them in, and then from here you of course have to grow them.
Yep, yeah, so oysters breed and reproduce in water higher than 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And up in the cold waters of Alaska, all they do is basically eat that rich, nutritious phytoplankton that floats around heavily in our waters. So
awesome, so perfect feeding ground for these little oysters.
Yeah. We have about 1 million in each of the flupsy stations, so there's about 1 million in this wooden one right here, and then an additional 1 million over there.
And they almost look like little sand. Actually, no, they look like quinoa. They look like you could mix some, saute up some mushrooms and throw that in there.
So this is the pump right here that sits in here, right? And if you guys can kind of take a look, we have these screen nets that go straight from the middle of where the pump sits in the flupsy to each little individual oyster crate. So you can see even in these ones, we have an additional 2 crates, so there's 8 in each, like I had said. But this water just runs along all in here. It pumps water in and pulls it out as it goes. Like we said, this is completely new, so we're hoping, you can see how some of those ones are already getting a lot bigger than the other little ones. But in October, we hope that they reach the size of a quarter, so we can bring them out to the actual farm, which you guys will see here in a little, and put them in their additional oyster trays.
All right, we're here at the Hump Island Oyster Facility. Yeah. Sean, so what's going on? What are we standing on?
So right here is one of our floats. This is where we hang all the oysters. And so we have a great view of Hump Island itself right behind us. It's named Hump Island because if you look above it, it kind of looks like a whale. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I tell everyone.
All right.
And so this right here houses all of our oysters. So what we'll do is we'll hang them in stacks. Okay. And there's 10 trays a stack. And we have 80 different bins for all of the oysters and stuff. So when you're out here, it's kind of like a 4-day job to get through all the stuff here. And the reason why we hang them is because there's a lot more nutrients in the water, and the water flows way faster for them. The only problem with hanging them like this is that they aren't on the beach and the tide doesn't naturally kind of tumble them for it. So they can kind of get dirty and stuff like that. So we have to spend a lot of time tumbling. And that's one of the bigger jobs of an oyster farmer, is tumbling the oysters.
How long have these crates been?
These ones have probably been there. Those oysters probably that big, so I'd say 3 to 4 years. So
Wow.
these are marketable sized oysters.
So they're ready to harvest.
Yeah, so it's the way we do it is it's like on usually year 3 or 4, we'll put them through the tumbler again. We'll sort them into 2 different sizes, and some of them will go back in the water and grow for another year, and then the other ones will sit for 3 weeks so they can the shells can get nice and hard again, and then we'll have them shipped out and like ready to sell and stuff.
So the process is, this is ready to go. You guys get the crane, you pull them up. So where do we go from here?
So it's like a day in the life of an oyster farmer. Is we come out here and we pick up one of the stacks from a raft.
Okay.
And then we'd head over here towards the tumbler.
All right, if I fall, that's a quest. All right.
Yeah. So this is our tumbler. We kind of break it down into 4 or 5 spots, depending on how many guys we have. So that we have one person who's out there, and they're using the crane and hoisting them up and bringing them over here after we wash them down. And then you have someone who's picking out all the dead ones and the starfish, because the number one reason to tumble is to get rid of the starfish, because we have a really bad problem. They're the oyster's #1 predators, and if they go unchecked, a starfish like that big could go through an entire tray in a matter of weeks.
Wow.
So we have someone up here who's always kind of picking out the starfish. Then they go up this belt, and they go through this old gold tumbler. And what it does is it breaks down the shells, because oysters shells, they kind of grow too long at the ends, and so it's like a calcium buildup. And that's just because they don't have that natural breakdown from being on the beach and having the current pushing them against the rocks. And so they'll go through here, and this is a good way that we can sort them into marketable sizes or the ones that need to grow again, because the smaller ones will fall through. And then we usually have one guy out here sorting, making sure no more starfish got through, and he's kind of picking out the rest of the dead ones, because there's usually about a 50% or 50 to 75% mortality rate growing oysters.
Wow.
So it's like we're doing pretty good because we're around 50, and so it's like when my dad went over there, he went to France and they had a 75% mortality rate, and he thought it was kind of bad that we had a 50%, and then he goes over there and they're all asking him like, oh, what are you doing that's so different? How'd you get it like that? But anyway, someone's down here sorting, and then the last job is we have a guy here who's he's collecting all the fresh trays, getting them brand new ones, because we like to switch the trays out. It kind of kills off all the starfish larvae and anything else that'd be growing on them. And then he's building up the stacks, and we get them back through to go back in the water. And it takes usually like an hour or 2, the oysters will be out of the water, but that's kind of good for them, because oysters have 2 muscles, one that opens and one that closes. And so it's nice to keep the closing muscle, it's nice to strengthen it a little bit by letting it out of the water, because that improves your shelf life. So
Wow.
if you do it enough and tumble 2 to 3 times in a summer, you can get the shelf life of an oyster to like 14 days or something like that.
How many oysters do you clean every day?
So we try to have about 10 dozen per tray, and we have 10 trays in a stack, and I think the record was like 32 stacks or something
Wow.
like that. Yeah, so it's when you got a lot of motivated guys out here, you can get through some oysters.
And then you just distributed them
Yeah, so
around
we
can?
kind of market with colors, and so we have different rafts. We have like a marketable raft and then a growing raft, and we'll send them out to different areas depending on like which one they are.
Awesome. So what's next after you guys clean them up? Do we start eating them, or
Yeah.
what's next?
So it's after the cleanup process, we usually put them back in the water for about 3 weeks, and that's just to like get the shell to harden, because the oyster lips where the shell meets, it gets fragile and sometimes it breaks. And so the reason why oysters can last longer in the shells is because they hold their water and they just keep salt water in there. And so it's called spitting their water, and so when they do that, that's when they start to get bad. And so if you can let that lip build up a little bit, it drastically increases how long you
So
put
you
them on
guys
the shell.
clean them and then you put them back in the water for 3 weeks.
And so then we have a system of kind of like when we tumble them, and then we can look at which ones are ready to go.
Okay. Do you have some oysters ready to look at?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm excited. Let's go.
Yeah. So this is kind of what a stack would look like. These are growers, and you can tell because we put them back in liners. So this is how they look freshly tumbled. They're all cleaned off. You make sure to hose them down really well. And you can tell, you can see where all the brittle shell kind of broke off.
Right.
So what I was talking about earlier is the shell overgrows here, and it kind of gets in the way, and it's like, it gets annoying, and it's really sharp too. So when you sell them, you want to make sure to just tumble them, and it keeps them way healthier. So this is what a good basket would look like once we thin it out and kind of get it nice and ready.
And how long has this been in the water after you tumbled them?
These have probably been in the water for 3 years. And you can see some of them are getting close to marketable size, but we still put them in a liner and let them grow for 1 more year.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy. So something like this by the end of the summer could be like the size of one of these
So there's
ones.
different types of oysters out there. You got Kumamoto. I mean, what kind of oysters
so
are
these are all just Pacific oysters. So they're like the normal ones. It's kind of what everyone has around here. And like we said, oysters aren't like, they're not natural to Alaska because the water's too cold and none of them can reproduce here. And so it's kind of like, that's why we get them from Hawaii. And that's the reason why oyster farms in Alaska are so great, because like in seasons down south where they'd be spawning and you couldn't eat the oysters anymore, Alaska there's kind of no spawning season. So it's like if salmon season had like 3 extra months on it or something. It was all year long.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, thank you. What's next?
We can go upstairs and try some oysters.
I'm ready. Do I bring this?
Oh no, you're good.
Okay.
So you guys have this great little lab here. What exactly is kind of the purpose?
So the purpose of our lab here is to do a health screening process for our oysters. We go ahead and use devices like this, dragging it in the water about 3 feet deep, and we are testing for Alexandrium, which is a phytoplankton that causes PSP, paralytic shellfish poisoning. And through this microscope with different slides, we take different samples from all around the farm and from the docks and whatnot, and we're testing for different phytoplanktons. And we are specifically looking for Alexandrium in different blooms.
And so those kind of blooms come and go, correct? So it's like there's times when it's present, but then most of the time it's not, correct?
Yes, for the most part, and that's what we hope for, but it's really good to stay very sharp with our testing and do it all the time, constantly testing.
Being safe and whatnot. Well,
very safe.
Cool.
Our priority.
Yeah, well, once you figure out they're safe, then we're good to go, ready to eat them.
Yep.
I like it.
Where are we at? This is really cool. I have a starfish in my hand. I'm excited.
So this is kind of the newer part to the oyster farm. This is our touch tank. And with all these stacks here, and like because it creates so much shelter and the oysters are so healthy for the water, it's kind of created a whole new ecosystem here. So what I've noticed this year more than all the other years is that we're starting to have like big blooms of these baby sea cucumbers, and so they're all over. Yeah,
they're beautiful.
So I think the record for one day when we were collecting them is that there's like 300 or 400 of those little guys.
Wow.
And it's kind of cool because everything in here was pulled off of the trays.
So I know these guys are hanging out there, and these are oysters, not their best friend.
Yeah. So what they do is the starfish. So the starfish, what they'll do is they'll kind of grab the oysters with their little suction cups, and they'll pull open a hole on like one of the sides, and they can actually take their stomachs out and shove them into the oysters and then suck out all the oyster meat.
Wow.
So that's how a starfish like that size can go through a tray in a couple of weeks.
Wow.
We also have a lot of sea urchins in here.
Nice.
And we found those too because they like to hang out on all the pots and we don't mind them because they help clean the pots. They get all the algae off and stuff like that, so they're pretty helpful.
How many of these do you usually find around?
They're all over.
They're all
it depends on the stack, and so if one stack has been in the sun longer and it's got a lot of algae blooming on it, you'll see so many of these on there.
Now you have kelp back there?
Yeah, so that was just kelp we found just floating by, and so we threw it in there, and it gives them good shelter. So if you look under there's probably some shrimp or an eel or something.
What? I want one of these at home.
Yeah. So this is where we hang out on all our lunch breaks because you can play with everything.
That is so cool. This is awesome. Well, this is really cool to have with this tour. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. What's next?
Now we can finally go eat some oysters.
Awesome. All right, let's do it. All right, I think we're ready to shuck some oysters.
Yep.
How fast are you?
Not too fast, but I just make sure there's no shell on the inside, anything like that. We don't want to ruin the experience for
anyone. For those who've never shucked an oyster before, can you let them know what's the best tool to use and just go each step by step?
Yep.
Where to go?
So the best tool to use is an oyster knife or oyster shucker, however you prefer to say it. But basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna have the oyster cup up, so you can kind of see this is the bottom of this is the bottom of the oyster, this is the top. You wanna have that cup up, so if you were to shuck like this, all that water would fall out along with the meat. You wanna keep that water inside of it so the oyster doesn't spit it out when you open it.
Okay.
But basically the first thing you're gonna do is you're just gonna hold the oyster down with your palm like this. You see this little divot right in here?
Yeah.
Perfect. So you're just gonna put your oyster knife in there, kind of playing it
Twist it.
around until you feel that pop up. And then you're just gonna hold it cup up. That way you don't lose any of that juice. And kind of work your way along so all the meat kind of comes off the top of this shell.
Okay.
And it slides off like
Nice.
so. Then you can just toss the
Now,
top of the shell
quick
back
question.
down.
I know when sometimes you pop open the shell, little pieces of the shell
Yep.
falls in there. How do you, that's not easy to avoid,
No,
right?
no, that'll happen sometimes. Usually you just kind of can eyeball the little fragments that you see and just kind of toss them out like
Okay.
that. The last thing you need to do is just take your knife, and it's got its little opening and closing muscle right there, and you just kind of slice that off. That way, when guests are eating the oysters, they can just slip them right down and
Nice.
nothing else to worry about.
All right, show it again. I want to try the last one.
Perfect.
Nice. I'm excited.
You want to try this one, or you want to see it one more time?
I'll see it one more time.
Perfect. All right, so you take your oyster knife, you go right there, cup up. They've already got a little divot for you.
Right, okay.
You dig down
And let it
gently,
pop open.
pop up.
Okay.
Then you kind of move it along in your hand right there, and just kind of go right between the shell as if you're kind of just slicing that shell off.
Okay.
And it'll come off perfectly
Nice.
like that. And throw that shell, and then you see the muscle
Yeah.
right in there. You want to make sure you keep all this juicy water. That's where all
Okay.
the flavor comes from.
You go around it.
Yep. Cut that up, make sure it's not stuck.
Wow, that's a
And then
beautiful one
that's
too.
it. Yep, and there's no shell in there or anything.
All right, wish me luck.
Sweet.
All right, so a good oyster shucker.
Yep.
Here's that little
Put it in
section
there,
right there.
and kind of come from the top and grind it in there like you're kind of just like destroying a crayon or something.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Nice.
It popped.
Yep, pop. So now put it in your palm.
Okay. Like this.
Yep, and stick it back in there and kind
Okay.
of just grind, kind of shimmy it across the top down the shell. So you want to bring your hand this way.
Okay.
And kind of pop, or other way. So you
Other
want
way?
to cut towards. Yep. Cut
Okay.
towards that way.
Okay.
And shimmy out because you want to cut that muscle off the top of the shell.
All right. Hopefully, I'm like,
So
don't want to
you wanna-
hurt the poor thing.
Nope, that's not a poor thing. You're going to be eating
I'm
it.
eating it, poor thing. You poor thing. You're
Perfect.
gonna be delicious.
So
okay.
yeah, and then move it all the way to the back,
All right. And then.
it'll pop off. And then you can start to bring the knife this way. So
Okay.
if you bring your hand, yep, perfect,
There
like
you go.
that. And then finish it off just
Okay.
perfect.
And
That
then-
shell should just pop off. Perfect.
Did I do the right thing
Yep.
by tossing that?
Yep,
Okay.
you can just, all the animals will feed right on it
All
at
right.
the bottom.
And then just go
And
around.
then see the little muscle right there in
Yeah.
there. It's that little bright muscle holding that meat in there. You just want to
Nice.
slice that.
Is there a certain
perfect.
way? Oh,
Yep.
there it is.
Perfect.
Nice.
Got it. And that's how it's done.
I'm ready. All right, this is mine. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
All
of
right.
course.
You ready to go cook? I think you have the grill going.
We do.
So, what's your secret of, grilling a good oyster like this fresh one? How long will you keep it on the grill?
With all the water inside of it, it does take a little longer, so about 5 to 6 minutes should do it
Okay.
perfect. So once you put it on there, it just takes it with the water in there. If you were to dump it out, but it's better to cook it in that flavor that it
Got
already
it.
has.
Natural.
Exactly, yeah.
Sodium in there.
It just takes a little longer for that water inside to heat up and kind of cook through the whole oyster
All right.
without overcooking it.
Show us
But
what you got.
basically, you just put them cup side up because you don't
Okay.
want to spill any of that water. I usually try and put them on the same line. That way they kind of all get the same amount of heat.
Okay.
And then just close
And
it up.
that's at the end.
And I put the
sauce.
sauce on at the end. Yeah, that way it doesn't kind of boil in and take away from the oyster flavor. That's kind of just the topper,
Got it.
to sort of say. But when they start kind of bubbling and like that, you can kind of see.
Right.
I still do want to keep a little bit of that water in
Right.
there.
Okay.
So while they're still hot on the grill, it's good to just kind of reheat that sauce as we bring it from the stove out
Okay.
here. It can kind of get chilled, so I always like to put it right on there.
Oh, that looks. That looks amazing. Look at that. Nice. Do we leave them on for a little more, or is that it?
I just kind of let them just simmer like that, and you can see how it's already bubbling right there. So now all you got to do is grab the oyster plate. So these things are super hard to grab, especially once they're cooked, because that fragile shell starts to crack a little more as it gets so dry.
Got it.
So you just want to be super careful to not spill all that sauce or any.
Do you wish you have like special cooking tongs for oysters?
They should make something.
You hear that?
It's about as good as they're gonna get.
Okay, we're all gonna go home and try and make our own oyster tongs. Beautiful.
So the next part, our last step, is just prepping a couple of little ingredients to go on top.
Yeah, I'm ready to eat. So, simple sauce. The mignonette is usually your typical traditional topping for your oysters, which are champagne. So, but today, I'm gonna do an Asian version of it.
Of course.
Of course, because that's how we roll sometimes, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So simple, I made my own pickled onions. Simple pickling solution, vinegar, sugar, and then your pickling spice that has allspice, bay leaves, peppers, and all that.
And you don't have to let these like hang out for weeks.
No,
you can like throw these in the morning, and then by the afternoon you have a little bit of pickling.
Yeah, and I mean usually people like that intense pickling, sogginess. I like that crunch that's still in there. So it's your preference. It really is.
Well, I think we want to add some texture.
It's all about the texture because why?
Well, this is nice and soft, and slippery.
And then we have the crunch of the onions, and then we're gonna do a little garnish. And I have my little secret weapon, but I'll show you that later. Okay. All right, so we're gonna get in there, and you're gonna chop up some pickled onions, red onions. Usually, in the mignonette, you'll use a shallot or shallot.
Shallot. How do you shallot? Is that really how you say
It's like tomato, catsup, ketchup.
Apple.
Right. banana.
All right, so we got a couple of these. Yeah. Just a rough chop on these
bad
boys?
Yeah, rough chop. Get a little more because it's so good.
I know. These smell amazing. This is when you want smell-o-vision for your TV because...
we talked about that.
I know.
It hasn't been invented yet.
Please.
So. All right, so rough chop, and then we're going to dump it in that beautiful bowl there. Or you can slide it in there, whatever you choose to do.
However we go about it. It's going in that bowl. That's all that matters. It's going in that bowl. Simple. I think vinegar and oysters go well together. There's that magic of that combination. So. Well, I feel like a lot of cocktail sauces, I feel like those usually have a little bit of vinegar in them.
I love it. I mean, so you got the onions in there? All right, so go ahead and put that here.
Okay.
Well, let's cut some lime up just to squeeze at the end. So get in there, girl. All right, so we're gonna do a little of that.
Okay.
And then right now we're gonna add some of the vinegar from there. Okay.
Fancy. Such a great color too.
What's that? Red onion.
How much of that are we throwing on there? Oh, of course I'm getting it everywhere. Don't mind me.
That's okay. A little more. Perfect. And then we're gonna rough chop some cilantro, and you're gonna throw it in there as well.
Okay.
All right. So here you go. Get in there. Rough chop it. How do you usually like your oysters?
I honestly just uncooked, right? Like a little bit of cocktail sauce, a little bit of Tabasco. Like I'm easy.
That's it.
I mean, unfortunately, I've got a little one on the way, so I
can't have any.
I can't actually eat anything raw, but that's why we barbecue them.
Yeah, I'm excited to taste that one because there's that secret sauce that they have, and I'm gonna have to find out what's in that sauce, and then they could throw me outside over the balcony, and I'll be
they'll
with
tell you, and then they'll kill you.
Throw you with the oysters, man. All right, so simple. Cilantro. We have the pickled onions with the pickled juice. Easy. We need spice.
Always.
I carry hot sauce around.
Oh gosh, creeper in your pocket.
Yeah, the cuteness of this. It's not an earring. It can be an earring. It could be a chain.
Yeah, no.
A nose ring.
I think I'll keep it to my keychain.
So my creeper, I gotta carry it around. So we're gonna add a little heat to it. So it's up to you how much. I like it.
I'm gonna let you. I think usually I end up overdoing it. And then
got excited there. I like it spicy. All right, now we're gonna stir that up. All right.
Yummy.
Look at that.
Smells good.
Smell that? Mm-hmm. Now we have to taste. So I'm gonna give you a little fork. Just get in there, since you can't have the oysters alone, just taste it. See if it needs some salt.
Some extra spice.
Yeah.
That was good.
Does it need anything?
No, that's perfect. It's spicy. It's like got a little sweetness to it. Right. It's so good.
And simple. Mm-hmm. We always talk about simplicity here. All right, so let's get the oysters, put them on over here. And then we're gonna dress it up. We'll do half.
Safe.
Yeah, just in case it's too spicy for some.
I mean, unfortunately, if you don't like spice, really, you're not gonna eat in our kitchen, really.
Right, there's always that spice.
But for those of you at home, you don't have to make it as spicy as you like it.
And then you leave the vinegar and you could put black pepper. Freshly cracked black pepper does the trick as well. Or jalapenos, you know, but your preference. It's all about the base is the vinegar, the onions, and then the cilantro.
Well, and your citrus too.
Yeah, and then so we'll do this. And then it's always that extra acidity that you want for these things. All right, so I think we should have someone come try this.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Let's. Do we want to throw some little lime on there?
Yeah. Just a little kiss of lime.
A couple drops on each one. It's a skill.
It's gonna just brighten it up a little more.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're ready to eat.
All right, let's do this.
Down. We have some awesome guests.
Yes, we do. These amazing people out here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, let us come out.
So it's our turn to serve you guys, and hopefully you like our version of the mignonette. So go for it.
It's delicious.
I'm scared.
Beautiful. I'm gonna go hide.
Go hide.
She's nervous, but I'm so excited.
All right.
All right. I hope you guys like spicy.
Love.
Should we cheers on
spicy?
Cheers, yeah.
Yeah, here. Let's grab one too, Bev.
Oh yeah, let's cheers.
Grab one.
Yeah,
The oyster cheer.
Yeah. Hold on.
Cheers. Cheers, my dears.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers. Cheers. Salud. Salud.
Okay.
Wait, do I need this?
Who's going first? Oh, Austin's going for it.
So good.
Where did I buy your sauce?
We'll talk after.
Wow, that is so refreshing and so
That's good. You happy?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is delicious.
You can come back anytime.
I will.
We're just gonna show
I'll be
up.
like there.
Perfect.
Just
Subtitles.
And it's just the perfect amount of spice.
Yeah.
I like it. That little.
Perfect. I want to try the barbecued ones. Where are they at?
Yeah.
Those are gone, but we can make
Enjoy.
more.
I only ate one. I swear.
Yeah, the grill's on. We can.
Oh.
Wow. All right. That looks like it's time
Round
for
two.
an oyster party. So a huge thank you to the Bonfire Bay Tour Group. Amazing job. Thank you for having us. And of course to the Hump Island Oyster Company for providing these amazing oysters. And for those of you that are watching, just because you're from here doesn't mean you can't come on a tour. This is totally worth it, obviously. So make sure to check out, where can people find you guys?
bonfirebaytours.com, and we are offering great rates to locals, so we want to get everybody here out here. Yeah, absolutely.
Come check us out. Awesome.
bonfirebay.com.
All right, so in the meantime, we'll see you guys next time.
All right. Patrick.